All right, let's talk about something we see all the time, blonde hair. But this is about so much more than just a physical trait. It's a symbol, a really powerful one, that has shaped our world, our history, our culture, even how we see each other, in ways you might not even realize. It's a pretty wild question when you stop and think about it, right? From ancient goddesses to Hollywood stars, there's this whole mystique built around being blonde. So we're going to unpack that story, dig into the stereotypes, and figure out why this one hair color carries so much weight. You know, to really get what's going on today, we've got to go back, way back. The whole blonde ideal didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Nope, it was built piece by piece over thousands of years. So let's trace it back to the beginning. What's just fascinating is how consistent this is through history. I mean, think about ancient Greece and Rome. Golden hair was literally the stuff of gods and heroes. Then fast forward to the Renaissance, and that idea is still going strong, tying blonde hair to youth and beauty and all this amazing art. By the time we get to the modern era, it's all cemented in our minds as this global beauty standard that's, well, still with us today. Okay, but here's where the story takes a really sharp turn. All that historical glamour, it got twisted into something way more complicated. That ideal became a stereotype. And for a lot of people, it's a total double-edged sword. And this just lays it all out, doesn't it? The contrast is so stark. For men, if there's a stereotype at all, it's usually something positive, heroic or virtuous. But for women, it's a completely different playbook. Sure, they're seen as glamorous, but that comes with this heavy assumption of being less intelligent, fun-loving, but also not serious. And all of that leads to being seen as less capable. It's that classic and honestly super frustrating trope. And look, these aren't just some silly, harmless ideas from old movies. They have real, tangible consequences. In fact, researchers even have a name for it, the blonde effect. It's all about the attention you get and how that attention can come at a really high price. So, what is the blonde effect? Well, it's this tendency for blondes, and especially blonde women, to get more social attention. Now, on the surface, more attention might sound kind of good, right? But as we're about to see, it's not always the kind of attention you actually want, especially when you're trying to build a career. This quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. That extra social attention can directly lead to being taken less seriously in professional environments. That's the exact moment a so-called social benefit flips and becomes a huge professional problem. So what does that actually look like in the real world? Well, it means maybe being overlooked for a big leadership role because of a perceived frivolity. It creates these career roadblocks and puts this constant, exhausting pressure on you to prove you're competent, all while you're being judged on your appearance instead of your actual skills. But this whole story isn't just about what society throws at people. Not at all. It's also about personal choice, about agency, and about the power you have to define yourself. This is where people start taking back the narrative. And that's a huge shift in the story. For so many people, deciding to go blonde has nothing to do with fitting into some old ideal. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's a bold, visible way of expressing who you are, of taking control of your own identity. It really comes down to control, doesn't it? Choosing your hair color is one of the most direct ways to shape your own image, to actively influence how the world sees you. It's like taking a potential stereotype and flipping it on its head. But that choice can come with its own tricky internal conflict. It's a real push and pull. On one hand, you might actually enjoy the extra social attention that comes along with it. But on the other hand, you're battling those negative stereotypes, which brings back that relentless feeling that you constantly have to prove yourself. It's a really complex balancing act. Okay, so we've walked through the history, the stereotypes, the personal choices, the whole journey. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture, because this story about hair color, it's really about something so much bigger. Because at the end of the day, here's what it all boils down to. Whether we're talking about hair color or clothes or anything else on the surface, the goal should be to look past it. It's a powerful reminder to value diversity and what makes each person an individual, instead of just falling back on these outdated, superficial shortcuts. And that really leaves us with one last thing to think about. The blonde mystique is just one clear example of how a simple physical trait can get loaded up with all this meaning. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other unconscious biases are out there,
quietly shaping how we see the world, how we interact with each other every single day.